Every so often, we all gaze into the abyss. It's a depressing fact of life that eventually the clock expires. Eventually, the sand in the hourglass runs out. It's the leaving behind of everything that matters to us that hurts the most. Ben Shapiro. Here are 25 depressing statistics about the world we live in. 25. There are nearly 210 million orphans in the world. 24. Nearly 15% of them will commit suicide before turning 18. 23. 75% of the total deaths during World War II were civilians, nearly 50 million people. 22. 22,000 kids die every day because of poverty. 21. A typical cow in the European Union receives a government subsidy of $2.20 a day. The cow earns more than 1.2 billion of the world's poorest people. 20. The US now spends some $200 billion on the correctional system each year, a sum that exceeds the gross domestic product of 25 US states and 140 foreign countries. 19. At least 10 times as many girls are now trafficked into brothels annually as African slaves were transported to the New World in the peak years of the transatlantic slave trade. 18. Your brain starts to deteriorate when you're 27. 17. The amount the US military spends annually on air conditioning in Iraq and Afghanistan is $20.2 billion. That's more than NASA's budget. 16. Both in rich countries and poor, a staggering 30 to 50% of all food produced rots away uneaten. 15. 80% of the world population lives on less than $10 per day. 14. Studies at the University of Kent have shown that the majority of people donate to charity to feel good about themselves. 13. According to a study by NASA engineers, it was found that 60 out of 1,000 drivers would go out of their way to hit animals on the road. Don't worry, they were fake, and yes, NASA engineers actually performed this study. 12. 2 million children die of preventable diseases every year, like diarrhea or pneumonia, because they are too poor to afford treatment. 11. 1/4 of humanity lives without electricity. 10. 1.2 billion people live in places without an adequate supply of water. 9. 1.6 billion live in places where they do have access to water, but they simply cannot afford it. 8. Cargo ships and cruise liners dump 14 billion pounds of garbage into the ocean every year. 7. 34% of the homeless population in the United States is young people under 24. 6. 250 million children between the ages of 5 and 15 are working under forced labor conditions. 5. There are 300,000 child soldiers around the world. 4. Although most of the world has abolished the death penalty, 1,591 people were executed in 2006. 91% of these took place in the US, China, Sudan, Iran, Pakistan, and Iraq. 3. 315,000 women die in childbirth every year because they were malnourished and lacked basic nutrients. 2. 805 million people go hungry every day. 98% of them live in underdeveloped countries, and the vast majority are children. 1. And since this list is about depressing statistics, I'll end with the fact that 350 million people around the world are struggling with depression right now. Enjoying our lists? Be sure to click that subscribe button in the top right corner so you don't miss out on new ones every Monday through Friday. Share them with your friends and help us consistently conciliate curiosity. And if you want even more lists, check out these two videos here, or just head to our website at list25.com.